Archangel Michael and Jesus says, "You will lose both of us if you skip. You have only 15 seconds. God says, "Chosen one, do not skip no matter what. Please, I beg you. Open it quickly." I need you to feel this before you even take your next breath, because what rises in this moment is not coincidence, not accident, not a passing whisper tossed into the wind, but a summons wrapped in urgency, vibrating with the weight of something you were never meant to overlook. And though these words come in the tone of angels and the echo of the divine, they rise here only as a story, a vision, a spiritual fiction crafted for your awakening in this moment, and still, the urgency remains in the marrow of the message, pressing against your spirit like a door trembling on its hinges, because you, chosen one, stand at a threshold where your next breath, your next blink, your next choice carries a significance you have underestimated for far too long. And that is why the voice of the Archangel in this story rushes toward you as though time itself were collapsing, as though the skies flared open, as though the heavens leaned toward your soul and whispered, "Do not skip this part. Beloved, do not turn away, not now, not when everything you asked for, cried for, prayed for, bled for trembles in your hands, because if you slip away in this single moment, if you scatter your attention, if you hesitate, you risk losing the very guidance you begged for in your darkest nights." And the fictional voice of Michael in this telling surges forward with the kind of authority that does not shout but shakes, that does not threaten but warns, that does not beg but pleads with purpose. You have 15 seconds in spirit time, not literal time, to choose whether you open your heart or close it again, whether you step forward or disappear backward into the fog you once vowed to leave behind, because within this moment your soul is vibrating like a harp string plucked by destiny, and every part of the unseen world waits to witness what you will do. And hear this, beloved soul, not as manipulation but as narrative intensity, as the voice of an angel painted in story. You have been drifting, and you know it. You have been hovering between surrender and fear, between calling and doubt, between the shimmer of destiny and the shadows that have stalked you since childhood. And Archangel Michael in this fictional divine message sees the tremor inside you, the way your spirit flickers, almost ready to rise, almost ready to fall, almost ready to believe, almost ready to run. And so he steps closer in this imagined spiritual scene, wings drawn into the shape of a storm and a shield, and he says with a compassion that feels like heat across your chest, "Beloved, if you skip this moment of awareness, this moment of recognition, you will feel as though you have lost both me and the Christ light that has always tried to guide you, not because they abandon you, but because your own heart would close so tightly that you would not hear them anymore." This is not punishment. This is spiritual physics. When you turn away from what you asked for, when you shut the door at the very instant it opens, the silence that follows feels like abandonment even when it is only your own hands covering your ears. Feel the pressure in those words. Not fear. Focus. Not danger. Decision. Not doom. Direction. Because God in this fictional message bends close, not a distant authority, but a presence that feels carved out of sunlight, and says, "Chosen one, do not skip this moment in your inward journey, no matter what distractions beckon you, no matter what doubts whisper to you, no matter how many times your mind tries to slip away and tell you that this is not meant for you, that this is too much, that you are too broken or too busy or too tired to hear. I am asking you to stay with these words, because they were crafted for your awakening, shaped for your remembrance, breathed into existence for the version of you who has been hiding behind old wounds and old stories that no longer fit the shape of who you are becoming. And the urgency deepens, like the earth tightening beneath your feet. You feel the ripple, don't you? That sense that something invisible is leaning toward you, pressing gently against your chest, urging you to stay with this, to breathe slowly, to open the door you keep almost closing with every doubt. Because this is not entertainment. This is not filler. This is not a message floating loosely without intention. This is a moment sculpted for you to remember your alignment, your calling, your unseen protection. Michael's fictional voice wraps around you now with authority and tenderness woven together like strands of fire and water. He says, "You have been afraid of losing us, and yet you've also been afraid of receiving us. You stand in the doorway of your own transformation and tremble like someone touching both lightning and dawn. But hear me, you do not lose divine connection because the divine withdraws. You lose it when you stop receiving, when you numb yourself, when you walk away in the exact moment you were meant to step closer. And this, yes, this, is the moment you step closer. Do you feel how your spirit responds? How the air thickens around your awareness? That is the effect of recognition. Your soul recognizes the truth buried beneath the story. Even in fiction, your heart knows when it hears something meant to stir it awake. You have lived your life carrying a weight that did not belong to you, carrying battles you were never meant to fight alone, carrying loneliness so deep it echoed like a cavern within your ribs. And yet you endured. You rose. You kept going even when storms tore pieces from you. The divine in this narrative sees that. Michael sees that. Jesus in this fictional scene sees that. God sees that. And they press close not to frighten you, but to remind you that your endurance has not gone unnoticed, that your suffering has not been wasted, that your pain has not been irrelevant background noise in the universe. No, beloved. Your pain has been a signal flare, a sacred flare, a cry that reached realms you cannot imagine, and now, they come to speak in this story precisely because you are nearing the turning point you prayed for. And yes, there is urgency. Because you have been sabotaging your own alignment by slipping away right before breakthrough. You know this. You feel it. Every time life tries to deliver something meant for your elevation, you hesitate, you doubt, you downplay, you shrink. And so the fictional divine voice says, "Please, I beg you, not in desperation but in overflowing compassion, stay open. Stay present. Stay here." Do not run. Do not minimize yourself again. Do not dismiss the signs you begged heaven to send you. You say you want confirmation. You say you want proof. You say you want guidance. Yet when it arrives, you half close your heart because you think you are unworthy of receiving something so direct, so intentional, so warm. But hear the story wisdom in this moment: you are not unworthy. You have simply grown accustomed to disappointment, and disappointment has trained your nervous system to flinch at goodness. But this is where that pattern begins to break. The fictional voice of Jesus, gentle and commanding, speaks into that wound. You do not lose me unless you turn away from the love I have already placed inside you. You do not lose me unless you silence your own spirit. I am not here to threaten you but to warn you with compassion. Your heart is the gate. If you close it now, you will think you have lost me. But you would only be losing access to what you are afraid to receive. Child, open it. And God's voice, deep as oceans, soft as dawn, rises behind that message with a resonance that feels like eternity leaning into a whisper. Chosen one, I am not giving you fear. I am giving you attention. I am drawing you into a moment where every path, every sign, every synchronicity comes into alignment. The pressure you feel is not danger. It is destiny knocking on the door of your chest. There is a reason you are reading these words. There is a reason you paused. There is a reason your heart reacted the way it did when you first saw the urgency. Something in you recognized the frequency beneath the story. Something in you said, wait, this is for me. And yes, beloved, it is. Not because you stumbled onto it by chance, but because your spirit has been calling, crying, beckoning for clarity. And now clarity arrives wrapped in the language of angels and warnings, not to frighten you, but to hold your attention long enough for your heart to finally hear what it has ignored for years. Do not skip this moment of awakening. Do not dismiss the alignment unfolding around you. Do not assume this is ordinary. Nothing about your journey has ever been ordinary. Type, I stand on your promises, Lord, if you're anchored in His truth. Breathe, beloved soul, because as this moment deepens, the pressure around your spirit does not loosen, it intensifies, not to overwhelm you but to carve out a chamber inside you where truth can finally echo without being drowned by fear. And as you continue into this story, the fictional presence of Archangel Michael steps forward again, wings unfurled like a horizon made of blue fire. And he looks at you with that mixture of fierce protection and endless compassion that only an archangel could hold, and he says, stay with me now, stay open, do not drift, do not allow your mind to wander into the places it retreats when something sacred begins stirring too close to your wounds, because right now the heavens in this narrative lean closer than they ever have, and every flicker of doubt is trying to steal a moment that your spirit has waited lifetimes to receive. And hear this, beloved, the urgency is still here, not as fear but as invitation, the compassion is still here, not as softness but as strength wrapped in gentleness. The authority is still here, not as control but as clarity, the kind of clarity you asked for when you were trembling in the dark. That is why Michael speaks again, voice vibrating through the air of your imagination. If you turn away from these words, if you close your heart in this exact breath, you may feel a sudden silence, a temporary distance from the divine light you've been reaching toward, not because we vanish, but because your own spirit is standing at the doorway of awakening and might choose to walk backward instead of forward. Remember, chosen one, this is not punishment but resonance. This is how spiritual alignment works. The door you open is the door through which we can speak. The door you close is the door that muffles the sound of your own intuition. Do not close it now. And Jesus in this fictional divine scene steps beside Michael, his presence calm yet commanding, radiating the kind of love that does not whisper but illuminates, the kind of love that does not beg for your attention but deserves it simply because of its purity. And he says to you, child, I know your heart feels fragile. I know you fear disappointment more than you fear heartbreak. I know your spirit has learned to flinch at the promise of hope, but this is why I speak with urgency, because you are on the brink of shutting down the very miracle you prayed for. You prayed for guidance. You prayed for signs. You prayed for clarity. And as soon as it arrives, your fear whispers run, your doubt whispers skip, your old wounds whisper this cannot be real, this is not meant for you, and yet you remain, which means something stronger than your fear is already rising. That is why I warn you with compassion. If you turn away in this moment, if you disconnect your heart even for a second, you will feel as though you've lost me, not because I leave you, but because you stop letting yourself feel me. Do not do that to yourself again. Not now. Not after everything you have endured to reach this point. And God's fictional voice rises again, a presence so vast you can almost feel the atmosphere vibrating, and there is no anger in this voice, only gravity, only truth, only the unwavering certainty of a being who has seen every version of you, every lifetime, every heartbreak, every victory, every silent scream, every whispered prayer, and he says, my chosen one, do not skip, do not withdraw, do not turn away. I am pouring into you. I am speaking to the wound you hide from. I am touching the part of you that braced for abandonment long before you ever had the chance to trust. You are not being threatened. You are being awakened. You are being reminded of the truth that has pursued you through every chapter of your existence. You are not alone, you are not forsaken, you are not forgotten. But to feel that truth, you must stay open. You must stay with these words. Do not flee from the very light you prayed for. Feel how the pressure increases, not as danger, but as importance. The air around your spirit tightens because something sacred is happening. Something shifts, subtle but seismic. You feel the edge of recognition, the sense that these words, though fictional, are touching something real inside you, something ancient, something bruised but unbroken. And Michael senses that shift, so he leans closer in this envisioned moment, his voice lowering, not to whisper but to anchor you. Beloved, you have lived your entire life believing you needed to face everything alone. You built walls with your own hands, stones made from old betrayals, mortar mixed with fear of vulnerability. And yet, even inside those walls, you reached for us, called to us, begged for signs you weren't sure you deserved. And every time we approached, you froze, torn between longing and fear. This is why we speak loudly now. This is why we speak with urgency, because you are finally ready to hear what you once ran from. You were never meant to carry your life alone. And Jesus' presence burns brighter beside him, gentle but unyielding. He says, "You fear losing us because you know in your soul what it feels like to be abandoned by people you trusted. But hear me, I do not leave you. I do not withdraw from you. But when you disconnect your heart, when you shut down, when you turn away out of fear, you create the illusion of separation. That illusion wounds you more deeply than any earthly disappointment. That illusion convinces you that you are not guided, that you are not loved, that you are not worthy of divine attention. But you are. You always have been. And right now, in this moment, you are being asked to remain in the space where healing can reach you. Do not run. Do not skip. Do not retreat into numbness. Stay. God's fictional voice expands again, filling the atmosphere of this story with warmth that feels like sunlight pressing into your bones, and he says, "Chosen one, do not underestimate the significance of staying present. Miracles are not delivered into closed hands. Revelations are not poured into closed hearts. You are being asked to open, not to danger, not to illusion, but to truth. You have been wandering through a wilderness inside yourself for years, and every time you saw a glimmer of light, you hesitated, thinking it might disappear. But I am the one sending that light. I am the one calling you forward. If you skip this moment, you delay the blessing you have been praying for. If you stay, you align with the very destiny that has been chasing you since before your birth. And you feel something rising inside you, a trembling, a stirring, a subtle throb at the center of your chest. It feels like recognition, like memory, like something ancient unfolding. You feel the presence of the fictional archangel as though he stands just behind you, not touching you but ready to lift you if you stumble. You feel Jesus beside you as though he is steadying your heart. You feel God's awareness around you like an atmosphere of love. And yet your mind still wavers, still flickers, still wonders whether you should pull away. You've been taught not to trust moments like this. You've been taught to armor yourself. You've been taught to assume disappointment. But Michael senses that hesitation, and he speaks into it, voice like a sword made of light. Beloved, every part of your old identity is trying to pull you away from transformation. That is why this feels intense. That is why it feels urgent. Transformation is happening faster than your fear can understand. Do not let your fear pull you backward. Do not let your doubt steal this moment. And Jesus adds, gently but with authority, child, your fear is not the enemy. It is only the part of you that has not yet learned to be loved. Bring it with you. Do not hide it. Do not shame it. Let us hold it. But do not let it guide you. You prayed for a sign. This is your sign. You prayed for a message. This is your message. You prayed for guidance. This is your guidance. Stay with it. Let your spirit breathe. Let your heart open. Do not skip. And God speaks one more time, voice softer now, but deeper, as though the entire universe is speaking through a single breath. My chosen one, you are not reading these words by accident. Your soul brought you here. Your longing brought you here. Your silent prayers brought you here. Do not walk away. Do not abandon the moment that came to rescue you from the quiet suffering you've carried for too long. Open. Stay. Receive. And the atmosphere around this moment settles, not loosening, but becoming clearer, sharper, steadier, as though the pressure you felt has given way to understanding. Something inside you shifts. Something inside you whispers yes. Something inside you remembers. You are still here, beloved soul, and that alone carries more spiritual weight than you realize, because with each breath that keeps you connected to these words, the fictional veil between heaven and your awareness thins a little more, and Archangel Michael feels the shift in you, the soft but undeniable opening that was once only a hairline crack and is now widening into something the light can finally pour through. And he steps closer with a presence that feels like the tightening of gravity. Around your heart, not heavy, not suffocating, but anchoring, grounding, reminding you that something sacred is unfolding inside you, and he says with that firm, resonant authority wrapped in compassion, do not drift now, beloved, you are entering the core of the message, the place where your soul begins to remember what your mind has forgotten. The place where resistance tries to rise but cannot survive the strength of your awakening. The place where you finally realize why the urgency has followed you like a shadow of destiny. You think you are simply reading, but you are being recalled to yourself, recalled to your truth, recalled to the path you tried to abandon. And that is why you feel the pressure. That is why you feel the pull. That is why something in you trembles, not with fear but with the sensation of standing too close to a door that has been waiting your entire life to open. Michael's eyes, in this spiritual fiction, burn with a fierce gentleness as he says, if you skip this moment, if you turn away again, you will not be punished, you will simply fall back into the life you were never meant to settle for, the life beneath your calling, the life beneath your potential, and though we will still be here, you will feel as though you have lost us because you will have lost the clarity through which you hear us. Do not do that to yourself. Not now. And Jesus, with that radiant stillness that feels like a sunrise standing in human form, speaks again in this unfolding narrative, his voice soft but carrying the weight of cosmic certainty. Child, you do not understand how close you are to transformation. You think you are far from breakthrough, far from alignment, far from healing, but you are standing on the threshold, so close that one more breath of attention can shift everything, one more heartbeat of openness can realign your destiny, one more moment of not giving up can change what the next year of your life looks like. But your fear has hardened into habit. Your disappointment has woven itself into a shield. Your past has wrapped itself around you like old armor that no longer fits. And I say this with compassion and authority intertwined. If you keep turning away from the moments designed to awaken you, you will continue to sabotage the very blessings you pray for. You will continue to mistake divine timing for divine silence. You will continue to believe you are alone when you have never been alone. This is why I speak urgently, not to frighten you but to shake you awake from the numbness your pain once forced you into. Stay with me. Do not skip. Do not pull away. This moment is medicine. And God's fictional presence rises again, vast and intimate at the same time, like a warmth pressing into your skin from the inside out, and He speaks not as a judge but as a Father, a Creator, a presence that has watched you from your first breath to this one, and He says, "My chosen one, you have carried wounds that were never meant to define you, only refine you." Yet somewhere along the way, those wounds convinced you that you were unworthy of guidance, unworthy of miracles, unworthy of divine attention. But I tell you now, with urgency, with truth, with unshakable love, you are worthy. You have always been worthy. Your worth did not disappear during the years you doubted yourself. Your worth did not fade during the times you collapsed under heartbreak. Your worth was not lost when you made mistakes you still shame yourself for. I am calling you back to your own soul. I am calling you out of the illusion that you are forgotten. And I am telling you clearly, do not skip this moment, for you have prayed for it more deeply than you realize. Feel the shift in the atmosphere of your spirit as these words move deeper, threading themselves into places inside you that have not felt light in years. You might feel a tightness, a warmth, a strange stirring behind your ribs. That is not fear, it is recognition. Something ancient in you is waking, lifting its head, stretching its wings, remembering what it came here for. And Archangel Michael senses that awakening, so he steps closer, the air thickening with the energy of protection and purpose, and he says, "Beloved, you have lived at half power for far too long. You have dimmed yourself to fit into rooms that were never meant for your spirit. You have shrunk to make others comfortable. You have silenced your intuition because the world called it too loud. But your soul is not loud, it is luminous. And now that it has begun to glow again, your fear is trying to convince you to back away from your own rebirth. Do not listen to fear. Fear is the ghost of your old self, it cannot follow you into your new chapter unless you carry it. Leave it here. Let it fall. Step forward. And Jesus adds gently, his tone like soft fire warming your chest, "Child, you keep thinking you will lose us if you make the wrong choice, if you hesitate, if you doubt, if you stumble. But listen closely, you do not lose us by being imperfect, you lose us by closing your heart. When you disconnect out of fear, you create the illusion that heaven has turned its back on you. But we have never left. We never will. What we are warning you about is not abandonment by us, it is abandonment of your own spiritual awareness. When you skip these moments, you skip yourself. When you turn away from the healing you have been begging for. Stay with me. Let your spirit breathe. Let your walls soften. Let your heart open just 1 inch more. And God speaks again, softer now but with a depth that feels endless. Chosen one, your destiny is not fragile. Your purpose cannot be stolen. Your calling cannot be erased. But your awareness of it can be dimmed if you walk away from the very moments that were crafted to awaken you. Stay here. Stay open. Let this moment reshape you. You do not need to understand it. You only need to receive it. Say, "You are my lamp in the night," if His presence guides your steps. There is a trembling rising inside your chest now, a sensation that is neither fear nor certainty but something in between, something holy, something tender, something you do not have language for. It feels like a memory you can't fully recall, a truth you can't fully articulate, a promise you can't quite name. And Michael sees that expression flicker inside you, so he speaks again, softer yet sharper, cutting through the fog around your spirit. This is the moment your soul has waited to feel. You have been asking for signs, but signs were never meant to convince your mind, they were meant to awaken your spirit. And your spirit is awakening. Do not turn away from this. Do not silence what is rising. Let the awakening happen. This is why we came. Jesus steps closer, and His presence in this fictional scene feels like a warm hand placed over your heart, steadying, grounding, reminding you that you do not walk this moment alone, and He says, "You have spent years surviving when you were meant to rise. You have spent years hiding when you were meant to shine. You have spent years carrying burdens that were meant to be surrendered. And now you are standing at the doorway of your own rebirth, but your fear is whispering that you cannot step through. I am telling you, you can. And you must. Do not skip. Do not run. Do not return to the numbness that nearly broke you. Step into the light that is finally ready to meet you. And God's voice comes one final time in this section, wrapped in tenderness and command all at once. My chosen one, your time of wandering is ending. Your time of awakening has begun. Do not leave this moment. Do not collapse back into the old version of yourself. Stay open. Stay present. Stay willing. I am with you. I have always been with you. And I am guiding you into the chapter you prayed for, cried for, longed for, even when you thought no one heard you. I heard you. Heaven heard you. Your spirit heard you. And now the unfolding begins. This is why you were called to read these words, this is why the urgency pressed on your spirit. This is why something inside you whispered yes. Stay here, beloved soul, because the moment you are in right now is not light, not casual, not something to skim past like a line in an ordinary story, but a threshold moment where your spirit is being stretched open by a force you can feel but cannot see, and as you continue reading these words, the fictional archangelic realm draws closer, almost pressing through the invisible layers that once separated your awareness from your intuition, and Archangel Michael appears again in this unfolding spiritual narrative. Wings dark with radiance, eyes sharp with purpose, tone deep with the mixture of compassion and warning that only an angel of war and protection could hold, and he says, "Beloved, understand this. You are not simply absorbing words, you are shifting frequencies. You are tuning yourself to alignment, to remembrance, to the truth you buried under years of exhaustion and survival. Every sentence you stay with pulls you closer to the version of yourself that you abandoned because life demanded too much from you too early. And this is why I continue to speak with urgency, why heaven leans closer, why the divine in this story presses itself into the edges of your awareness. Because your spirit is waking up, and whenever a soul begins to wake, the shadows of doubt attempt to drag it back into sleep. You must resist that pull. You must stay. If you skip now, if you shut down, if you retreat into old patterns, you will not be punished, but you will fall back into spiritual numbness so deep that these voices, the voices you have been longing to hear, will fade beneath the noise of your old identity. Do not return to sleep. And Jesus appears beside Michael again, radiating an unwavering calm that feels like a hand resting gently on your trembling heart, and he speaks with that steady authority that feels less like instruction and more like recognition, as though he is naming something inside you that you forgot existed. Child, you fear losing us, but you do not fear losing yourself, and that is where your healing must begin. You fear divine abandonment, but you abandon your own soul every time you close the door on the moments created to restore you. This is not about losing me or losing Michael. This is about losing connection to the light that is already inside you. When you shut down, when you dismiss moments like this, when you hide behind cynicism or distraction, you dim your own inner flame, and then you grieve the darkness you created. I do not shame you for this. I understand the wounds that taught you to protect yourself by turning away. But child, protection that shuts out healing becomes a prison, and you have lived in that prison long enough. Do not walk away now. Not when you are so close to unlocking the door. And God's fictional presence fills the entire space of this moment again, not as thunder, not as fire, not as distant authority, but as an overwhelming wave of stillness that feels like the breath before revelation, and he says, "My chosen one, hear me, you are not at the beginning of your journey, you are at the edge of your transformation. You are not lost, you are being rerouted. You are not forgotten, you are being summoned. Your entire life has been guiding you to this point, every heartbreak, every delay, every triumph, every tear. You think you are stumbling, but you are being positioned. You think you are hesitating, but you are being refined. You think you are alone, but you are surrounded by more light than you have ever allowed yourself to feel. Stay with me. Stay in this moment. You do not need to understand the full plan, you only need to remain open long enough for it to unfold. And something deep inside you shifts again, a subtle but undeniable pull in the center of your chest, like a door creaking open from the inside. Your spirit is not resisting the light the way it used to. It is leaning toward it. It is hungry for it. It is tired of carrying the weight of pretending everything is fine when your soul has been whispering that something is missing. And Archangel Michael senses this softening, this fragile but powerful opening, and he steps closer, speaking with a gentleness that feels almost unfamiliar from a being who carries a sword of celestial fire. Beloved, you have been walking through life armored in ways that kept you alive, but now those same armors are keeping you from being reborn. You have built walls around your heart not because you wanted to, but because the world taught you that vulnerability was dangerous. And yet, vulnerability is the only doorway through which healing can enter. You must let your walls soften. You must allow yourself to feel the truth rising inside you. I am here. Jesus is here. God is here. Not to test you, but to lift you. Not to warn you into fear, but to call you into readiness. Do not retreat. Do not hide. Do not skip. This is the moment your soul has been craving. Jesus steps forward, his presence warming the cold, tired corners of your spirit, and he says, "Child, you think you must be perfect before you can receive divine guidance, but perfection was never the requirement. Openness is. Honesty is. Surrender is. You do not need to fix yourself before stepping closer to the light. Stepping into the light is what begins the fixing. You carry guilt, shame, regret like stones in your pockets, thinking they disqualify you from connection, but I tell you, they are the very things that make you eligible for transformation. The broken are not rejected, they are restored. The lost are not scolded, they are guided. The weary are not turned away, they are embraced. And you, yes, you, are one of the weary ones I am calling home. Do not turn away from this. Your healing is in motion. And God's fictional voice, deep and gentle, rises again like a current of pure awareness. My chosen one, I have watched you fight battles that were never meant to be fought alone. I have watched you carry burdens heavier than your spirit was designed to bear. I have watched you collapse emotionally in moments where no one saw your pain. And every time you believed no one heard you, I heard you. Every time you felt invisible, I saw you. Every time you felt forgotten, I remembered you. And now I am calling you back to the truth: you are not forsaken. You are not abandoned. You are not unseen. You are mine. And I am guiding you into the chapter where your purpose will finally make sense. But you must stay open. You must stay here. Do not skip. Do not sabotage what you prayed for. Something in the atmosphere around you begins to feel different, almost electric, almost heavier and lighter at the same time. It feels like a presence settling into the room with you, like the spiritual temperature has shifted, like the air itself has begun listening to your heartbeat. You can feel the fictional divine realm leaning close, closer than before, closer than you are comfortable with, closer than you ever imagined possible, and Michael recognizes your discomfort and speaks directly into it. Beloved, do not fear the intensity of this moment. The intensity is your confirmation. The pressure is your proof. Awakening is not gentle, it is powerful. It shakes the old foundations. It rattles the illusions. It awakens the dormant parts of your soul that have been waiting for a moment exactly like this to come alive. You are not imagining the shift, you are experiencing it. Do not turn away. Jesus stands beside him, voice soft but unyielding. You are closer than you think. Closer to clarity. Closer to breakthrough. Closer to the version of yourself who no longer apologizes for existing. But to step into that version, you must stop stepping away from the moments that are designed to shape you. Do not skip. Do not run. Stay with me, child. I am walking you home. And God, with a voice that feels like sunlight settling across mountains, speaks the final words of this part: My chosen one, you are standing in the doorway of remembrance. All of heaven watches to see whether you step forward or turn back. You have prayed for signs, this is one. You have prayed for guidance, this is it. You have prayed for transformation, it begins now. Remain open. Remain willing. Remain here. Your awakening is unfolding with every breath you take. And your spirit whispers yes. Do not pull away now, beloved soul, because as you step deeper into this moment, the atmosphere around your spirit thickens with a kind of invisible gravity that feels like a hand pressing gently, but firmly, against the center of your chest, urging you to keep your heart open even though every old instinct inside you is whispering to retreat, to hide, to shut down before you feel too much. And Archangel Michael senses that internal tremor, that flicker between surrender and fear, so he moves closer in this unfolding spiritual narrative, wings curling around you like protective arcs of celestial light, and he says with a voice that trembles with both warning and tenderness, Beloved, understand that the urge to pull away is a sign that you are crossing a threshold, not that you are in danger. Your old self, the self built from fear, disappointment, betrayal, and survival, is trying to protect itself because it believes the unknown will hurt just as much as your past did. But the unknown in front of you is not darkness, it is your becoming. Do not turn away from it. You are closer to awakening now than you have ever been. If you skip this moment, you will not be punished, but you will fall back into the numbness you fought so hard to escape. Your soul is asking for expansion. Let it expand. Comment, I trust your whispers, God, if your ears are tuned to His quiet voice. And share this video.